John, were you surprised by yesterday's verdict in the Rod and Robert Blagojevich case?
Absolutely. I thought the government would certainly get 12 or 14 convictions out of the 24 charges. I think, like most people, I had certainly mentally already convicted him, and I think it is a remarkable outcome.
So, from looking at this from a policy standpoint, do you see this verdict playing a role in the state legislature's move to close some of those ethical loopholes? Will they actually want to close them now, or are they just going to be speeches on the House and Senate floors?
Well, I'm not sure what the state legislature will want to do. It's always difficult to discern what the Illinois General Assembly is going to do about anything. But what I do think is there will be increased pressure from outside reform groups. Cindy Canary's group, for example, I think will continue to press, and others will continue to press toward some more stringent campaign finance laws and closing some of the loopholes. Whether or not the General Assembly will respond, I'm more skeptical because they are pretty insulated from most of this.
Are there specific loopholes that you would like to see closed?
I think campaign finance limits being twice what they are for the federal government are too generous. I think that one needs to be revisited. Of course, we here at the Institute worked on redistricting, which is a separate but related issue, and that's got to be revisited because we didn't get anything changing on redistricting. I think the whole question of how we raise money and under what circumstance you accept money for your campaign is a grinding problem nationally as well as in the states.
Now, there's also some of the programs that Governor Blagojevich enacted during his 6 years in office. Is this a coffin nail in programs like the All Kids or other health care programs that he enacted while he was in office?
Well, I think those are mostly shot, gone. They were never enacted by the General Assembly, and that was the problem with them. And you really can't just implement programs without financial support, without legislative support, and he never bothered to get either of those. So I think most of that will be wiped out, or much of it's already been wiped out by the budgetary crisis.
So if a candidate this time around were to say that they were going to cut some of the Blagojevich spending programs,
it wouldn't amount to anything. I mean, candidates are already saying things like they're going to cut 10%, but the media don't force them to say where are they going to make those cuts. And the media never come back and say, okay, you're going to cut 10%, $1 out of every 10. That gets you $2.5 billion off the general fund, which is this year $25 billion, last year $26 billion. $2.5 billion is a down payment on $13 billion, but nobody ever follows up with where's that other whatever 10.5 going to come from.
Sounds like you're referring to Republican gubernatorial candidate Bill Brady.
I would be referring to his most recent fly around in the state, which again he says he's going to cut $1 out of $10. Well, so what? That doesn't get you anything, not to mention that he didn't say where he was going to make those cuts.
Before we get too off topic with that, Brady did say that he would reveal his cuts after the election. Is there any way that the media can apply more pressure to try and get some of those details?
I think you people in the media need to keep yammering at him, and beyond that, which is my first complaint about the media, my second complaint is you never come back and say 2.5 is just a small proportion of $13 billion deficit. Nobody ever seems to have that second question.
Okay. Getting back to some of the Blagojevich programs, I talked to Mike Lawrence, who's the former director of the Institute, and he was talking about how the Blagojevich administration had an effect on the rash of state management officers now part of a union, and saying that it's going to take 1, maybe even 2 decades for some of those employees to no longer be a part of a union. How do you see a future governor handling unionized state employees, or should they even want to de-unionize them?
Well, Mike has written eloquently about the long-term and pernicious effects of the Blagojevich administration, and most recently he's written about this, and it's something most people wouldn't know about and have overlooked. I think it's a big problem. I'm following Mike's lead here, and I think he gets credit for blowing the whistle on that. You can't have all of the people, particularly the people at the top in the policy-making positions in any state agency, all a part of the union. I think anybody understands that there have to be some people that are exempt, particularly the people at the top. The federal government is the model here. It works very well in the federal government that those top echelon policy-oriented executives are political appointees and are not unionized employees. It's going to take the General Assembly and the next governor, however, to determine where that cutoff point is. They can do that if they want to. They can determine that the top 5% most important policy-making executives in each state agency are ineligible for union membership. States got a right to do that if they want to.
But now that some of the unions are upset with, particularly the Democrats, over the recent pension overhaul that went through and was signed by Governor Quinn, do you see them acting on wanting to do that? That could have a blowback, or at least upset the unions more.
I don't see either party talking about it till after the election, and then I think they're going to have to do something about it. Like everything else, though, they're kicking the can down the road to pass the election and refusing to talk about any of these sort of hard choices that we really ought to be discussing in this governor's and other races that are taking place.
Illinois Republican Party Chairman Pat Brady came out with a statement earlier this week saying that if Blagojevich was convicted, his party would not be making a heyday and constantly be using the Blagojevich card in the election. Do you believe that statement, or do you see more Blagojevich ads coming out?
Well, I think he's honest, and Pat Brady is saying what his position is. He, however, cannot speak for the candidates, and any candidate running on his or any other ticket has the right to make whatever ad they want to make, and I certainly think some of them will take advantage of Blagojevich and will try to run against him.
For example, the Republicans have tried to draw the connection between Blagojevich and Pat Quinn, who is, of course, his lieutenant governor. Do you see that playing an effect in this upcoming gubernatorial election?
Well, they have done that. I think they will continue to do that, and I think it may well have already had an impact. I mean, as you know, the last two polls, both the public policy poll and a Rasmussen before that, have the Republicans with a sizable lead in the governor's race. I think that lead is due to a number of factors, but certainly Blagojevich's impact on Quinn is among those factors.
What about outside of Pat Quinn? I mean, obviously, who was not a Blagojevich ally at least at the end of his administration, was very vocal in speaking against the governor. What about other past Blagojevich allies in the legislature?
I don't think it's going to hurt the legislators of either party. The legislators are saying already, look, we did our duty, we impeached the guy in the House, we convicted the guy, we took him out of office. We couldn't have spoken more clearly. There was, as I remember it, only one vote in the House, and that guy retired. They've put the right spin on it. They've said what they needed to say. I think they're insulated.
John, thank you very much.
Okay.